These are some ballsy prints. Hey everybody, James here with Laughing Dragon Foundries. Today we're going to be talking about the different kinds of things that you can print. Well, there is a ton of free things that you can print. So let's go ahead and take a walk through the garden and let me show you. First off, we have Thingiverse. Now this is a super popular site where you can find everything from calibration models to help you get your printer set up and calibrated in. And then from there, it really just kind of comes down to your imagination and what it is that you want to print. They've got everything from cup holders, game accessories, console accessories, car parts, practical prints, impractical prints, fan art, you name it. It's pretty much out there on Thingiverse. Now keep in mind, if you're planning to do this as a business, make sure that you get permission from the author of the model. If you do download any of these with the notion of printing them for profit, make sure you get permission from the author of the original model. Do everything you can to support these people, because, you know, in too many cases there's a lot of people out there that are printing and selling things that aren't theirs in the first place. And actually, in some cases, or actually a lot of cases, there's very specific requests by the original author of the model to not sell their product commercially, or prints of their product commercially. Support your 3D artists. They're the reasons that those models exist in the first place. A wonderful place to get a lot of different models, and a lot of them are free. You can also check out Thangs, THANGS.com. A lot of items out there, again, for free. If you want to do kind of a quick search and scan a lot of different model databases at once, you can use Yeggi.com. That's YEGGI.com. So again, a lot of these places have models that you can print for free, but in the case that you stumble across something that you really like, you may have to pay a small fee for it. For example, this dragon here. This is an articulated dragon. It's very popular, at least right now. I think this model is like $3 or $4. Again, not a huge price to pay. It does have a non-commercial license attached to it, so if you want to sell this, you're going to have to get in touch with the original author of this model. Support your 3D artists. Now let's talk about the different kinds of prints that we print. They kind of fall into a few different categories. You've got your cosplay props, your accessories, whether they're cosplay accessories or toys, or just fan art. In the case of this Pokeball, we've got this version here. This is a slightly modified color palette from the original, but this is a Pokeball from the Legends, Arceus Legends Pokeball game. It just dropped in January. Cool thing about this is you open it up, and it's not only a piece of fan art, but it's also functional. You can put your Nintendo Switch cartridges in here. Isn't that neat? Another thing that's super popular right now that would kind of fall into the toy category would be this Rose Dragon. Again, this is from an artist known as Cinderwing 3D. We're actually a Patreon supporter of Cinderwing 3D, and you can find prints of her dragons in our shops online. But this is the Rose Dragon. It's a beautiful piece. This is actually printed in the Cookie CAD unicorn rainbow filament. Isn't that gorgeous? These things are great fun. A lot of people like these for just fidgeting with them, so they're a great fidget toy. They're a cool decoration too. You can hang them on the edge of your monitor, or just put them on your desk and show it off that way. I call this the Flexi, or the Bendy Cat. He's bendy and he's a cat, or Flexi Kitty, whatever you want to refer to him as. This is printed in an eSun copper filament, copper silk filament, which again is really an attractive filament. So those are some examples of the prints that you would, you know, that maybe you could print that are things that you would enjoy and just like to have around, just to have around. Then there's the artistic / functional models, such as something like this. Now this is a resin print. The prints that I've shown you so far are FDM prints made out of filament on a roll. This is a resin print, and the advantage, we'll get into this more at a later date, but the advantage of this resin print is the amount of detail that you can get in these. This was printed on an Elegoo Saturn, and the detail when you zoom in on this is just absolutely amazing. A lot of people use these for tabletop gaming. Dungeons and Dragons, Gloomhaven, a number of different board games, and they'll paint these things up, and they're just gorgeous prints. Another thing that you can print, and we are actually in the process of doing this right now, is printing parts for something that's going to be a bit bigger. In this case, we're building a Voron 2.4 printer. These are printed in ASA filament, and I got to tell you, these pieces are incredibly strong. Here's a shroud for the filtration system, printed out of ASA filament. It's extremely strong. There's not a lot of flex to it. And this gear here is actually a gear that will be used in the extruder to extrude the filament. And again, there's no flex, and these things are incredibly strong. Again, just one more idea of things that you can print using your 3D printer. Here's a piece. Now you'd think this is a functional piece, but it actually isn't. This is something that we're printing for a cosplay piece. If you've heard of the reverse bear trap mask from the Saw movie series, this is something that we've actually modeled in Fusion 360 and then printed in resin, in ABS resin. So we'll be using this in our reverse bear trap. Might be a video on it. So there's a number of things, just ideas right out of the gate that you can print that are fun, they're functional in some cases, and ultimately they make the person that's printing them happy. So I think that's the most important thing, is when you're 3D printing something, find something that makes you happy, something that you can get excited about. As always, James here with Laughing Dragon Foundries. Keep your filament dry and your hopes high, and keep on printing.